Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Dallas Meditation Center and Awakening Heart Community of Mindful Living. I hope that you've all had a great weekend, and I'm happy to have you here with us tonight. My name is Cornell, and I will be joined tonight by Nick, who will be facilitating. Bobby will be doing a talk for us, and Jennifer will lead us in a guided meditation. So I welcome you to check in, if you would, if you're on YouTube, to check in in the chat window. It's nice to know when you're there and that we're be able to see a little bit of who's out there and say hello. But anyway, so sit tight, and if you're finding us for the first time, like either live or later on, you found us on YouTube. Welcome to you as well. And just know it's easy to follow along. We will do our usual practice of a short introduction and then our guided meditation followed by a talk. And then after that, for those of you who would like to come over to Zoom, we will be doing sharing and discussion on Zoom. And so I hope you'll join us there. But for now, let's just sit back and enjoy 3 sounds of the bell.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming. I'm grateful to be here in the center as the bellmaster. Let's start with the affirmation today, the opening affirmation. Noble community, we gather here now to honor the way of peace and nonviolence, the way of wisdom and compassion, the way of joy and beauty, in solidarity with one another, with all humanity, and with all life on earth. Friends on the path, we gather here now to deepen our solidity like a mountain and to renew our freshness like a flower. Through mindful sitting and walking, mindful singing and breathing, and mindful speaking and listening. Family of awakening, we gather here now to celebrate the one infinite light that shines through many religions and many cultures, to cultivate the wisdom of our many teachers, both ancestral and contemporary, and to affirm the capacity within ourselves and all persons of every race, gender, orientation, and tradition to realize full and complete enlightenment. And now we will turn it over to Bobby for our song today.
Hello, everyone. So glad you decided to join us on this cold, rainy day. It's a good day to be all cozy inside your house. It's a good day to meet up with friends, even if that means meeting online. So tonight, the talk is going to be about what we call the Refuge Chant, chanting the refuge to the 3 jewels. And so in preparation for that, I thought we could sing the song about taking refuge, which in our tradition is called The Island Within Myself. So if you know that, I invite you to join in. And if you don't know it, it's a good opportunity to just listen so that maybe you can sing it with us when we're able to all get together. And in order to enjoy the song without having to watch me sing, I would like for you to look at the altar. Breathing in I go back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are clear streams of water. There are birds, sunshine, and fresh air. Breathing out, I feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island. I enjoy going back to my island. So, in preparation for the meditation, please enjoy the contemplation before sitting. The Sangha is invited to go back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness brings us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, generate peace as one body, be free as one body. Let us transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
Dear brothers and sisters, I invite you to find your place of meditation, whether that be sitting or standing or laying down. Pick one of them that seems fitting for tonight, and stick with that for the duration of our meditation. So coming to that place with some reverence and with a smile on your face, because we get to be together and practice meditating together, and it's such a joy. Tonight we're going to be practicing the 3 jewels in our meditation in preparation for Bobby's talk, and I'll be guiding the meditation with some silence in between, not too much, but some. So we're going to begin with the Dharma and putting to practice a teaching of the Dharma on the breath. So we begin by noticing our breath. So finding your seat, settling down, feeling grounded with a strong base to your position, with your shoulders over your hips and your back straight but not stiff, and the crown of your head reaching up, your chin slightly tucked. There's that spot. So just settling in. And as you settle in, just begin to be aware of the slight rise and fall of your chest and your breath. And as we do that, we begin to become curious and observant on actually the quality of the breath, whether our breath is long or short, steady, or erratic. And we notice all of this without judging it or trying to change it. We're just observing. And as you do this, you might say to yourself, breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And now your breathing may start to settle as you settle in and get quiet. Breathing in, my in-breath has become deep. And breathing out, my out-breath has become slow. Deep, slow. Beginning now to notice and observe the effect that this deep and slow breathing has on you and on your body. Now we begin to recognize that our mind and our body are reuniting. Breathing in, I feel calm in my body. Breathing out, I feel at ease, calm, ease. When our mind and our body are united and we're feeling calm and at ease, we feel joy. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release all of my worries and anxieties. Smile, release. When we're noticing our breath and observing how it goes in and out and observing the effect it has on our body, we are in the present moment. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I know that this is a wonderful moment. Present moment, wonderful moment. being quiet and still on the inside and the outside, brings us in touch with the island within us, the Buddha within us. Breathing in, breathing out. I am in touch with the Buddha within. In this stillness, you're not only connected to yourself and the Buddha within, but with all living beings and all earth, and with our brothers and sisters in our own community, our own Sangha, who are meditating here right along with you. We're all connected and there for each other. We're meditating together. So think of your brothers and sisters in the Sangha and send them a smile as you breathe in and out. And remember that you're not alone. You have the Sangha.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be at peace. Brahma Vihara Maitri. Brahma Vihara Karuna. Brahma Vihara Mudita. Brahma Vihara Upeksha. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at peace. Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer, for that lovely meditation. Um, I'm not sure I even need to talk about the three jewels, since Jennifer's done such a good job of taking us to that place. However, I planned this, so I'll go ahead with it. I want to talk about taking refuge in the three jewels. And so let's begin by, again, considering what is a refuge. Last week, Ruben talked quite a bit about what it means to take refuge. A refuge is a place of comfort, of safety, of peace, a place where one feels a sense of well-being. And so the idea of taking refuge often begins with learning how to take refuge within oneself. We sang about that, going back to the island within myself. So who is this self we come back to? Who is this self we begin to take refuge in? Well, it's not the historical self, or what some people call the ego self. The ego self is not a place to take refuge because it's so chaotic. It belongs to what's called the historical dimension. I have often referred to it as the hysterical dimension. So the true self is the self we take refuge in, the self that is connected to the ultimate dimension, the self that is not separate from anything or anyone. This type of refuge in the true self is our portal to the connection to everything in the cosmos. And that's what we take refuge in. Thich Nhat Hanh, you might see this on YouTube if you can find the link for it. But there's a picture of talk that Thich Nhat Hanh gave. He's standing in front of the board, a whiteboard, and he draws a big circle. And then he draws an arrow that goes into the circle. And then he says, the way out is in. And he has this little smile on his face like he's sharing a secret with you. The way out is in. Here's how Rumi said it. I have lived on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on the door. It opens. I've been knocking from the inside. This poem has been like a koan for me since I first read it years ago. It felt right, but I didn't really understand it. I couldn't explain it to myself. And so I just kind of lived with it, and over time, it gradually began to sort of sink in. I'm not at all sure that I understand it really quite right yet. It's still a bit of a mystery to me. But years of contemplation have begun to reveal the meaning, I think. So let me read it again. I have lived on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on the door. It opens. I've been knocking from the inside. So my present understanding is that he, Rumi, like us, was continually looking for answers from outside sources. He was wanting to know reasons. He wanted to explain things, to have answers. But he was looking outside of himself, knocking on every door he thought would open and reveal the answers to his questions. And then when the door finally opened, he discovered that all the answers were already inside. He had always had access to the answers he sought. And he discovered this when he could not find what he was seeking from outside himself. It's the same thing Thich said in a much more succinct way, but maybe not quite so poetic. Thich said, the way out is in. And that reminds me of Thich's response to his disciples when they said they wanted to build a stupa in his honor. And he didn't want them to do that. He said, no, don't do that. But if you insist, put a plaque on the outside that says Thich Nhat Hanh is not here. And then another one that says Thich Nhat Hanh is not there either. And then the last one to say Thich Nhat Hanh can be found everywhere. From the perspective of the true self, the view that shows us we are not separate beings, from this view, we can recognize our innate Buddha nature, as Jennifer talked about in the meditation. We see that innate Buddha nature when we say, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. The part we don't usually say is reciprocal, and that is, the Buddha takes refuge in me. The Buddha lives or not, insofar as we do our best to follow his example and allow him to show us the way. That's what it means to take refuge in the Buddha. It's important to know that the Buddha was not a god. He was infallible. In fact, the first few years of his search, he spent going from place to place, from teacher to teacher, trying to learn. He was like Rumi, wanting to know how to awaken, wanting to know the reasons for things, knocking on doors. And he searched out and studied with some of the most learned teachers of his time. But he awakened when he realized that the answers were already inside himself. The way out is in. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, we are acknowledging that we recognize our own Buddha nature and offer that nature to take refuge in us. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. The Buddha takes refuge in me. The second of the three jewels is the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. So in our chant we say, or in our recitation we say, I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. The second part of that is the Dharma takes refuge in me. So what does that mean? I think it means that the Dharma can only express the way of understanding and love through me. Without my involvement, the Dharma does not live through me. Maybe it finds expression in other people, but I'm not contributing to the health of my personal consciousness, and I'm not contributing to the health of the collective consciousness. The words are just a reminder of this very important aspiration to embrace the way of understanding and love. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. The Dharma takes refuge in me. The third of the three jewels is the Sangha, the community that practices the Buddha's teachings and supports one another. We say, I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. And the unspoken part is the Sangha takes refuge in me. This is similar to what I said about the Dharma. The Sangha depends on me, on my participation, my engagement. Without me, the Sangha is a little bit diminished. The collective consciousness of the community has lost my contribution to this overall sense of community. You can see how the vitality of the Sangha depends on each individual's commitment, and how the Sangha is weakened when it loses the support of the community or any part of the community. So when I am not engaged, I'm not participating, not only does the greater community diminish, lose some connection to that collective consciousness, but I lose a lot. I lose a lot. At the individual level, my personal life is diminished when I'm not engaged with my Sangha. My practice wanes. Old energies surface. You know, maybe you, like me, have experienced this during this pandemic because we haven't been able to see one another in person. We haven't been able to hug one another. We haven't been able to sing together. And all of these things I miss, and I know you do too. So when I have disconnected from the Sangha, when I have stopped engaging, even in this way, then I begin to lose. As I said, my practice wanes, old habit energy surface. I lose connection to friends who support me. I'm estranged from my own inner refuge and often forget who I really am. The notion of being a separate self disturbs my equilibrium. Oy vey. Oy vey. This pandemic has highlighted the importance of Sangha to me. In the same way that I nourish and support the Sangha nourishes and supports me. It's a synergetic process. The energy moves in a circle. Before I give a talk, I always think about it for days or sometimes weeks before I write anything down. This time, while I was thinking about it, the word metamorphosis has been in my thoughts. I actually think it's a pretty good metaphor for awakening. First, there's an egg, an enclosure that protects the developing larva. It's a refuge, if you will. Eventually, the caterpillar emerges and feeds on the egg until it's able to feed on the leaves around it. So the refuge, the egg, nourishes and supports the caterpillar at the beginning of its life and yields to outer resources when the time is right. This is a little bit like, to me, like a child who begins to recognize or gain nourishment and support from his or her outer world. Eventually, when at the beginning, all of the nourishment and the support comes from the safety, at least we hope it's safety, within the family. So eventually, the caterpillar has received all it needs. It's grown as big as it needs to be from these outer resources, and then it creates another kind of refuge, the cocoon. Comparing that to our journey as a human, most of us have been through that. I think, maybe I'm not speaking for you, but I'll just say for me, I went through a period of time when I was searching like the Buddha, I was seeking answers. Like Rumi, I was knocking on doors and not having much result until I discovered the refuge that was the Dallas Meditation Center. And in that refuge, I began to reconnect to my true self. So the caterpillar does this. It creates another refuge, a cocoon. And inside that refuge, the caterpillar completely dissolves, lets go of its caterpillar form, and begins an amazing transformation. What I've read, and I think it's true, is that when the caterpillar dissolves inside the cocoon, it's just like a gooey mess, which in no way resembles the caterpillar that it used to be, because it has let go of that form and is manifesting completely new form, going through a real transformation. And then when the transformation is complete, this brand new form emerges, a butterfly, a beautiful, amazing butterfly. I think this is like our own journey when we learn that we can take refuge within this inner part of us, when we learn that it's a safe place to allow ourselves to be transformed, to let go of the suffering, no matter how big or small, and recognize that everything is impermanent, everything will change. And so we learn to rely on this inner refuge, this inner place within us that always is saying to us, all is well. All is well. You can take refuge in this teaching, in this community, in this way of knowing. When we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, we have a space within which we can transform our suffering. And like the contemplation before sitting says, liberate ourselves from the delusion of separate self. So I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. The Buddha takes refuge in me. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. The Dharma takes refuge in me. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. The Sangha takes refuge in me. I want to do it again, and this time invite Nick to give us some bells in between, like we usually do when we chant this. And then I want to invite you to say it to yourself or out loud if you feel comfortable. I'm just going to do each part and give you some time to repeat it in your mind or out loud. And this will be our refuge chant for this evening. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. The Buddha takes refuge in me. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. the Dharma takes refuge in me. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. I take the Sangha takes refuge in me. Thank you, dear friends. I look forward to seeing you and hearing your comments about my talk. So I'm going to switch over to Nick, and he will connect with Cornell, and we'll get on with the rest of the evening.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bobby, for that talk. I really enjoyed that. I can recall many times that I've come here as a gooey mess and been transformed through the practice, through being with the Sangha, into something more solid, more stable, perhaps more beautiful. I'm really grateful to be here and listen to the Dharma. And so I think I'm waiting now for Cornell to do some announcements and to transition to the Zoom meeting. But before that happens, let me do one sound of the big bell.
Thank you, friends, for joining us tonight. You will find the Zoom link in the chat window if you're still over on YouTube. And hello to all of you who have checked in tonight. John, Julie, Connie, Catherine, Stephanie, Mohammed. Yeah, it was great to be here with you this evening. Our only announcements are please invite friends to join you and join us wherever they are in the world for these meetings and gatherings. And please do help support the center so we can continue these gatherings. And you'll find that link in the description. But it's Dallas Meditation Center/give, or text the word mindful to 44321. But I welcome you to come over to Zoom now, and we will close this part of our section or our session. So thank you, everyone, and see you over on Zoom in about 30 seconds.